It's your boy FRE, $ H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's TheFlyBoyWay. Don't ask why, just check out the channel. Just dropped my little man off at school so he can get his education. I really think it's really important. I think it's important that people understand that your kids' future is majorly based on what you do while they're still young. Because I feel like, and we'll get into the topic, give some people a chance to join the room. I feel like if you don't give your kids the proper education when they're younger, it doesn't matter what school you send them to. It doesn't matter how much you teach them when they're older. They'll be stuck in the ways that they have, and they won't ever be able to get out. Well, it would be very difficult. I don't never say never, but it'd be very difficult for them to get out of the ways that they're stuck in if you don't, teach them young. So I think it's very important for me to make sure that my kid goes to a very good school, so he has the base for what he needs to hopefully grow into the man I hope that he one day becomes, or surpasses that. But welcome to Jeep Talk episode 56, Standing Alone. What's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. Like I said, I wanted to give people 2 minutes to get in and we'll start the conversation. But shout out to everybody that joined the room. YouTube's a happy. What's going on? I know it's been a while. I think the last Jeep Talk that we did, let me fix this thing so I can see the messages and stuff. The last Jeep Talk we did was before I went to Cali, Colombia. So, it was a while, but I feel every now and then I like to have these little Jeep Talks because it'd be something on my mind. And I think that getting it out to the public would be something that can help other people. Okay, so we're 2 minutes in. So welcome again. Talk 56. What's good for standing alone? What's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. Now for me, I'm not one who really believes in, good or bad, right or wrong. I feel as though what's good for me may not be good for the majority of people. What's right for me may not be the right for the majority of people. So there's no ultimate right or wrong. There's just what works best for you. I think even as just people of not even just, I'm gonna say black, just not just black, but people of poverty, we've always been the people who would do stuff for other people in order for the greater good. But when you don't benefit off of that and your family suffers off of that, then you need to stand alone. I always wondered, just hypothetically speaking, if the whole Moses thing in the ark was even though I don't feel it was real, just the concept of it, how are you only able to get two of each animal, two of each thing to get here? And I realized that looking at the United States, the majority of people won't ever become individuals. If you look at the divorce rate, the majority of people, or not the majority, look, a little bit less than the majority of people get divorced and they still do it, even though it's failing. If you look at the finance rate, everybody has an opportunity now to know about financial freedom, and the majority of people still don't do it. If you look at the traveling rate and knowing about the world to enhance your mind, the majority of people know about it and they won't do it. I can only speak for the United States, but in my opinion, in the United States, you need to be an individual. Because what's going on, Tribal POV? Because if you're not an individual and you don't go by your individual purposes, you'll end up just like everybody else, the majority. And while it may be more comfortable to live like everybody else, like if everybody else is struggling and you're struggling, it may be more comfortable. It's not what's best for you. It's not what's best for your family. So you got to separate yourself sometimes from and a lot of people tell you got to separate yourself from the people that are not looking to succeed or strive to succeed as much as you're trying to strive to succeed. J-Maz, what up, man? But a lot of people don't understand that sometimes even those people may be people who that you can still be friends with, but you got to put them at a distance because of the fact that if you stand too close, you might get pulled down too. Um, Unfortunately, this is a hard lesson for a lot of people to learn. And the people who do learn this lesson end up getting looked at in a certain way. Because they say, hey, you're not loyal. I've known you for so long. You're not loyal. It's not, to me, it's never about a loyalty thing. What it is more about a prosper thing. I understand that we're given a short amount of time on earth to really maximize what we want to do, live the way we want to live, and everyone has a different belief on why we are here on earth. Again, some people will say we're here on earth to find the love of our lives, get married, and start a relationship. Cool. Other people will say we're here on this earth. Hold on a second. Give me a second, y'all. All right. I'm back. All right. Other people say we're here on this earth to praise the Lord and Savior. We're here on this earth to live for somebody else. And that's cool too. But if you're not willing to stand alone, then you're basically here on earth to please others. And I definitely don't think that's something that anybody really agrees, that they're here on earth to please other people on earth. Growing up, a lot of us had, and again, if you just joined the room, welcome to Jeep Talk, episode 56, Standing Alone. What's good for the individual what's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. Growing up, a lot of us, we had good parents or parents that told us right from wrong, or right from wrong, what we believe was right from wrong, or told us how to interact with the society. But once we got in school, once we got educated, and once we became, once we got into the actual world, we then have to decide what works for us. But a lot of people were so, I guess the word would be disciplined, but a lot of people were so easily coerced to believe in how other people think because maybe that's how their parents raised them, that they will never be able to open their mind to see another way that might be right in front of them. And if you are one of the people who believe in doing stuff for the group all the time, it's going to be hard to see you being happy. It's going to be very difficult to see you being happy. Ronald says Charlie kicked it up against freedom of speech. Why is MAGA so? I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know too much details about that. Like I said, I think that was in like Utah. I'm from New Jersey, so we don't really get involved with the other people's politics, other people's stuff. But rest in peace to him. Clayway TV, what up? What up? What up? What up? Again, y'all, if y'all just joined the room, welcome to Jeep Talk, episode 56, Standing Alone. What's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. The group of the United States, the group of the United States, majority of people can't afford $1,000 emergency. Because the way that we operate here in the United States, if you don't know the word, of course, we're talking about in the United States, is a way of consumerism. The group works better. The United States will get better if more people spend money, even if they don't have it. Even if they got to spend out of their credit cards. Even if they got to spend out buy now, pay later. United States will do better if more people spend money that way as a GDP. But individually, if you get into this credit card debt, if you take out these high school loans, knowing that you're not going to, well, not knowing if you're going to make the money back. Don't say knowing. Not knowing if you're going to make the money back. Then yes, you are helping out the group. You're helping out the group in the United States. But you're killing yourself as an individual. Unfortunately, a lot of people still can't separate that. And now we're coming to this place in the United States where credit card debt is crazy because group economics, group mentality. What else? School loans are crazy. People are, now that the government is going to have to start cutting back on stuff, people are going to end up a lot more homeless, or a lot more in shelters, and a lot more not, all because we have a mentality here. At least I can only speak for here. I haven't grown up anywhere in the world. We have a mentality here in the United States that the group is more important than the individual. And it never was, and it never is. A lot of times, you know, they'll say, take one for the team. Now, in certain occasions, okay, maybe it's not too bad to take one for the team. In certain instances, it may not be too bad to take one for the team. But when you take it for one for the team, it's hurting your son, it's hurting your daughter, it's hurting your future, it's hurting your mental stability, it's hurting your family. When is it time to stop taking one for the team? When is it time to stop and say, hey, there's going to be a group of people that I agree with. If it's not the people I was born with, or it's not the people who I was around yesterday, then change my atmosphere. I don't have to talk bad about them. I don't have to down them or look down on them. But I can say, hey, these people think this way. I don't think that way. Yes, we may be the same color. We may be from the same place. We may even be from the same economical class, middle class, poverty, wealthy. But that still doesn't mean that I have to acquiesce to what I don't believe in. And I think a lot of people aren't, and I don't want to offend anybody. I think a lot of people aren't strong enough to push back against the crowd if the crowd feels as though they're not right. Child POV says, don't stretch the situation. You did what you felt is right for your situation. I'm not going to. Oh no, we're not talking about that one. That actually does take apart child POV. That actually does fit in this conversation. But no, I was thinking about this because I was watching something economically about marriage and divorce. That's what triggered me to have this conversation. I was watching something about marriage and divorce, and then I started looking around. And the majority of my friends are married. 85 to 90% of my friends are married. So that's how this conversation came about. But that situation fits as well. It does. But I think to me, that situation isn't as big as a lot of people feeling as though they got to go out and get married. I think that people feeling though they have to go out and get married because society is expecting you to do that, and that's for the better good of society. Knowing individually for a man that marriage is not going to be beneficial for you, for the most part, for the majority of people at all, that's what really was more of a trigger for this conversation as I woke up. Because there's so many people right now, like I said, you've seen the thumbnail. 80% of people with wealth get married, and out of the marriages, only 53% succeed. And if only 53% of marriages succeed, that means 47% of marriages end in divorce. If you get a 47 in school, that's an F. I mean, if you get a 53 in school, that's an F. You failed. It's not even a D, pause. So again, but the majority, and what's better for the community, is if everyone gets married. Everyone just picks one person and settles down. But that's at least what we've been taught. So I think that's a bigger issue, man. He says, has Obi reached out lately? I don't know Obi, so I don't know why he would reach out. You looking fly today? Pause, but thanks, man. What's good, fly boy? When your next trip outside of the country? Again, you guys can ask any questions. We're gonna go through the staticky part right here, but we're here. My next trip out of the country, it depends. Right now we're working to build so we can get our place in Colombia, and that's going to take about 2 months, I believe. So if it does only take 2 months, then my next trip out of the country may be in December to go to Medellin and talk to my lawyer to talk about the next steps. And then after Medellin in December, it would be Barranquilla in February for Carnival, and to look at different places that I'm planning on buying in Barranquilla. So those could be the next 2 trips. Again, it all falls on how long this process takes for my credit to be clear after I paid off my debt already, as well as when I get the HELOC or home equity line of credit, home equity loan, whichever way I decide to go. So that right there is going to be it. You moving to Cali? I thought, no, I'm not moving to Cali, but I do go to Cali every year. The Petronio Alvarez Music Festival has been something for me that just really I connect with, and not just because it's a black thing, but just because my experience there has been so amazing that I've gone every year for like the last 3 years. So that's something I will continue to go to. Will I go to Cali outside of Petronio? I don't know. I don't know. I really, like I said, I really feel like Barranquilla is a place that I feel more happy with calling my second home. But it does, again, with Colombia, if you don't know about Colombia, and again, if you're just joining in, we're going to do the staff part right here. This is Jeep Talk episode 56, Standing Alone. What's good? Give me a second. It's gonna be a little but I'm going through this little part with the at. But hopefully you guys can still hear me. When I finally get my place in Barranquilla, I'll be more settled in. I'm gonna do a Thailand trip because I haven't been there yet, and then you're gonna see me going to Colombia a lot more often for longer periods of time. So that's the plan as far as what's going on towards the future, y'all. Hold on, give me a second. Give me like 3 seconds. It'll be a little bit better. I'm in 3 seconds, like 30 seconds. If you guys got any questions, you can ask me any questions you want. This is just Jeep Talk, so you know we talk about a basic topic, and at the same time I get to answer your questions as I drive to work and start the work day. Yeah, normally I start from my house, so I'll usually be a little bit more into the conversation by now. I think it is going to be very important for our future people who are watching this video, for people who watch this video, you know, never to understand that you're definitely going to have to be more focused on becoming an individual in the future, because the more we become as a group in the United States, the more economically challenged we become, the more as far as a group, and I'm talking about black, white, Indian, whatever ethnicity, whatever nationality, even immigrants that come over here and legally and stay, like, the more we become a group in the United States, it seems like the more we fall into the system of consumerism, the more we fall into the system of what's better for the group is not as good, is not good for the individual. So it's like, I think people, and you know, even I was born like a rebellious type person, and it was always in me. I think that people are going to have to become more individual and worry more about yourself if you want to survive what's coming, if you want to thrive in what's coming, if you want your family to succeed in the future in the United States. You are going to have to become a person. Oh shucks, you are going to have to become a person who understands I am more important than the group. And I said this on a previous podcast. Shout out to Mentuition. I'm gonna get your comments. I said this on a previous podcast. In my order of importance, this is how it goes. Myself. I put myself first before I put anybody else. Because if you don't put yourself first, you're living for somebody else. My kids come next. My kids come next. I have a daughter and I have a son, and whatever kids I have after that, they'll come next. Then my family, my brother, my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, and then my real close friends. After that, I'm human and I'm black. So again, a lot of people have to understand, if you don't prioritize, my fault, you have to be at peace, not be able to financially be able to retire early or retire even on time, because you focus more on pleasing other people and being part of the group than being an individual and doing what's best for you. Again, it's gonna get a little staticky here because I'm going through the woods. Let's see. What's going on, Fly? When your trip? You moving to Cali? I thought for investment property. No, again, I don't know. Everything would be lenient on what happened to Barranquilla, because I don't know what price I'm going to spend for the condo in Barranquilla, Colombia. So me not knowing how much I'm gonna spend for that place, I can't make otherwise decisions. But I will say this. Shout out to Rico Rich. Rico Rich has a bunch of Airbnb apartments in Cali, Colombia. And if I could somehow have enough money after my Barranquilla, Colombia purchase, maybe partner with Rico Rich, that would probably be the only way that I would get investment properties in Cali. I'm not really sure if Cali is the place where I actually want to own a bunch of places, but to have a partnership in Cali that might be something I would maybe look into, but nah, I don't this money to make an investment. This is for my retirement. So I have a lot of people don't think this way. You have to be an individual to think this way. I own two places in the United States already, in New Jersey. When I pass away, I mean, I won't pass away. When I retire in 9 years, I'll always be able to stay at my house, and it'll pay for itself. But I don't want to be stuck in just staying in Jersey. And while I can just rent overseas, I do believe there will be a point where the rent overseas is economically smart or possible as it is today. Whereas right now, you can rent an apartment in Barranquilla, Colombia, a 2-bedroom from anywhere from 6 to 800 in a good area. When I say good area, I mean strata 5 and 6, the top 2 areas in the country. So if you want to get a place in Colombia and Barranquilla at least, you can pay between $600 and $800 for a 2-bedroom. Now, if I do this thing where I buy the place, it's going to cost me $600 a month for 15 years. So I think that's a better decision than to wait 9 years, retire, and either try to use the United States dollars, which could be going down, to buy a place, or to rent. And I know the price is going to be a lot higher, like Medellin is right now. So, again, I'm not looking for investment with this property I'm purchasing. This is more for my retirement. Again, I always say you should think at least 10 years ahead. But again, as an individual, because I'm an individual, I think that way. Group economics don't think that way. As a group of blacks, as a group of people from the United States, as a group of people who are traveling, the majority of travelers, the majority of explorers, the majority of people who know about the world, they don't think this way. They think the way of just getting out of the situation they're in right now. This is why I say you can't always go with the group. Because as a group, when you look at travelers online, when you look at expats, when you look at people who are moving overseas or doing content overseas and traveling, when you look at these people, majority of them don't have a future retirement plan. They're going to end up having to, and this is my opinion, it's not a fact, the majority of people who you're watching on YouTube who are not already retired or never spent time in the military, they're going to have to keep working and working until pretty much the day that they die, because of the fact that they're not preparing right now. They're pleasing the crowd by producing content, and they're not preparing right now for the inevitability that there's going to be a point when they're 50 or 60 when they're not able to do what they're doing now. Aren't, like, I would say close to 90% probably aren't. And I think that's because as a group, we haven't been taught to think or move like that. And that's why you have to be focused on being an individual. You got to be focused on being an individual, especially now and especially for the future. Let me get your comments. John Blaze says, "Hi, was the loan hard to get for overseas real estate?" Now, you can't get a loan, and I don't know if you're still here, but you might watch this in the future. From what I know, it is very difficult. I'll never say you can't. It is very difficult for a United States citizen to get a loan overseas in another country, especially if you don't have any dual citizenship, especially if you're not a resident or you don't have any kids over there. It's very difficult. I didn't go that route. The route I'm planning to go rather, is by using the money from my properties I have here to then purchase a property overseas, because I have equity in the homes I have here. I don't know anybody that has done it, but I do know people who said they thought about doing it. If they was able to do it, it would be such a high percentage to like something like 15 to 16% interest rate to get a loan overseas in Colombia. So again, even that would not even be worth it. You still having kids in Cuba? I still plan on having kids in Cuba. I did have to take a break from it solely because the woman that I had known for 7 years ended up getting pregnant, but it wasn't me. It wasn't for me. So, when you do have kids in certain areas, you definitely when you do have kids, you definitely need to think long term as far as how what do I economically have to provide and what can I economically provide. So for me right now, it's still possible for me to economically provide a place in Colombia and a place in Cuba, but I haven't really had a woman who I could trust yet to build that connection with anymore. Like, again, I could probably still trust the woman because, again, it wasn't like she cheated or anything. Just we just, you know, she just did some reckless stuff. But it's not economically feasible to have a kid with a chick in Cuba that has 2 kids. It doesn't even make sense. 1 kid you can probably do. It can be a benefit simply because Cuba's country, because it's cut off from the rest of the world. Having a brother or sister, your kid having a brother or sister in Cuba, I think is more beneficial. Even if you're giving that brother or sister some money, it's more beneficial. But 2, never. 2 will never work. 2 will never work. So yeah, we're holding off on the Cuba thing. The Colombia thing is what's going on right now. And even with Colombia, as you know, with the building a legacy, I'm always building a legacy, but things change over time. And unfortunately, the woman who I was leaning more towards building a legacy with from San Andreas, she ended up wanting to go around the world and work on a cruise ship after she got her EMT license. So I think it's super dope because she'll be more world travel and stuff like that. And but I don't know if I'd want to wait 2 or 3 years for her to be finished working or her contract in 4 years, whatever it is, and then start the plan. So we'll see. Well, I don't know. I doubt it, but we'll see. Nomad, what's going on? Are you buying the crib in Medi for Airbnb or are you moving there? I'm not buying a crib in Medi. I'm buying a crib in Barranquilla, Colombia. And the reason why is because as a real estate investor in the United States, I understand that for me, the most important thing is location. And Medi to me isn't a location that I can see myself wanting to own in long term for a couple of reasons. One, because the tourism is major there and the prices of it are going to inflate a lot more than they are now. For 2, because of the frequent law changes that the different mayors or the governors, whatever, that run Medellin do, it is very cautious for me to want to invest in a place where laws major changes. Like if you're renting your Airbnb out in Medellin and someone gets caught with a minor in your place, you could possibly lose your place. So for me, when I started seeing that, I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense either for me. So and then on the reverse, Barranquilla, again, major thing for me, there are 3 international airports within a 2-hour span in Barranquilla. You can go 2 hours on a $10 bus ride to Santa Marta. You can go 2 hours on a 10-hour bus ride to Cartagena and get an international airport just in case the airport shuts down. In Medellin, if Medellin shuts down, you're going to have to go 8 to 10 hours to either Cali to catch an international flight or 8 to 10 hours or 6 to 8 hours to Bucaramanga to catch a local flight. So for those reasons, to me, it's not an investment that I'm not saying it's not a good investment. It's just not an investment. Even though I'm just buying for retirement, it's still not a good investment because while I am buying for retirement, I do want to have an option if things jam up and I need some quick cash. Stocks and stocks. I wouldn't do too much investment in Colombia. Laws always changing. Your own place is smarter. Again, for me, it's never about investing in Colombia. It's about the retirement first. So I guess it could be investing because you're still putting money in it. But I do plan on having a kid in Colombia. And for me, when it comes to building legacy, it's important that all my kids have an equal thing. So while my kids in the States, my daughter and my son in the States, both will own properties when I pass away, I will also want my future kid in Colombia to own the property as well. Secondly, even if I didn't, if somehow I passed away before I did have a kid in Colombia, that property would just go to my one of my kids, split between my kids, so they could just fast, quick sell it, maybe drop it 20,000 and take whatever. But for the majority part, it's for my retirement because I plan on retiring at 50 years old, and because I'm retiring at 50 years old, again, this is the difference between people who are thinking for what's better for the group and thinking better for with themselves. This is Jeep Talk episode 56. Stand alone. What's better for the group isn't better for the individual. And this is for me individually. It's better for me to have a second option in another country I feel comfortable with, that I can go multiple different countries, than to invest money in the S&P or to get paid off of dividends for the money that I'm spending to buy this place, because I don't believe in putting all your eggs in one basket. And it wasn't until I was older where I got to learn that there was even an option that you could own overseas, or that you can even find a way to get money to buy overseas, because I knew you had to buy cash. So now that I do, I mean, it's a risk. Yes, of course it's a risk, but I feel as though it's a risk worth taking, because I know history in the United States. Because I know history in the United States, for example, I don't know anybody whose place has been taken from them that was a foreign citizen that just lived there or Airbnb. I don't know anybody's place that was taken from them. But I do know a bunch of towns in history where in the United States that were taken from black people once they hit a certain amount of wealth. So because there's more of a chance for that to happen again in the United States than for me to lose my property overseas, I'd rather have a balance and own in the United States and own overseas. Travel POP says, so true. Sad says, so true. Most content creators are broke. Most, yes. Okay, I agree with you, Stocks and Socks. Most are broke. But there are ones that aren't broke. And the biggest issue is that a lot of content creators don't want to talk about money, because when you talk about money, it shows how once they start, a lot of your favorite content creators don't want to talk about money on their channel. And the reason they don't want to talk about money is because once they talk about money on their channel, two things happen. People see how much BS they really on, and people see how much they lie. And people see three things, actually. People see how much they really don't have money. And money isn't the end all to everything. We understand this. I know we talk about money a lot because money is important. It isn't the end all to everything. But if you're not economically and financially aware of money, then you're willing to do so much stuff that a lot of people wouldn't do, and your channel can't be taken seriously. To me, my opinion, it's hard for me to take people's channels seriously that would do anything for the money, because how do I know you're not lying to me? How do I know you're not making up this fake fantasy? How do I know you're not making up some gimmick or to get me over to your country, to the country that you just went to? Again, if your favorite content creator has never talked about money, I would second guess if they're really telling you what's really true. But again, this is my opinion coming up. I see old people working at fast food restaurants more and more each year as year goes by. Again, growing up, it was what they say. It was bad. Not maybe bad is not the word, is a word I'm looking for. It was not, money was never talked about in the house because it was looked upon bad. But I was one of the people who was lucky enough to have a grandfather that was in business. So there was always money talked about in my house and stuff like that, which made me want to get my own place at 18. And then once I got my own place at 18, I then had to force myself to learn how to manage and budget my money to get what I wanted done. Because when you own your own at 18, I had a roommate, but when you own your own at 18, there's a lot of stuff that comes up that you got to figure it out, or you back on the street, or you back at home. So money is taboo. That's what it is. It's not taboo. It's not taboo for me. Talking about money is not taboo for me. But for a lot of your favorite content creators, especially in the travel community, and especially what's going on with streaming right now, because streaming costs a lot, and people don't have the funds for that. A lot of people don't have the funds for that. So I think what is going to eventually happen is that between streaming, between people traveling, and people right now are saying that, oh, the travel community is getting so boring. It's getting so dead. The streamer community is dying. And the reason why a lot of this stuff is dying is because a lot of people were tapped out on their credit cards. A lot of people were tapped out on their income. And once somebody becomes tapped out on their income because money is taboo to talk about, then what happens is the content has to feel a pain. The content starts to go away. People are not traveling. People now have to find a way to adapt, and it's not a good or a bad thing. People now have to find a way to adapt to keep your attention because they need that money. So what do? We go and we do live videos where we just make all this drama up and we talk because that's going to keep your attention so you can give me money. Now, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. That's just the way it is. And that's why I personally always talk about money, because you don't, for me, as a content creator who really depends on being like 100% real with people, and you definitely want to continue the way you move, you gotta be talking about money. You gotta talk about money. Let me see. Or you'll be an old person still working at Walmart. No offense to anybody. You'll be an old person still working at Walmart. Habitual travel. Yup. Lux travel. I think the point you're trying to make is that you're saying. I think the point that you're trying to make and what you're saying are two different things. America highlights the individual. Many other countries highlight and enrich the group. America is big, to me, in my opinion. America is a business orientated place. As I went to Colombia, as I went to Brazil, as I went to Dubai, as I went to, well, maybe not Dubai, as I went to like France, most of these countries are based in family. They're not based in, if you see the interview with Rico Rich in Cali that I just did, he said something exactly similar. He said the United States is orientated in corporations, not the individual. The United States is not based in the individual. It's based in corporations. The individual thing in the United States, the American dream, the freedom, that is the gimmick to get people to focus on that, so they don't focus on the fact that the United States is based in corporations. This is my opinion. Let me get to the rest of y'all messages because we got about like 4 minutes before we get about here. Group thinking is good when you don't have a poverty mindset. Many immigrants group think in America because they work in a group. Indians, Jews, and Africans immigrate here. Here's the thing about that. Africans, Jewish people, and Indians have a society they come from. And their group economics is because their society was so disciplined. A lot of their societies are so disciplined. It's not all Africans either. It depends what part of Africa you're from. And maybe it's all Jewish people because it's all one area. But it's not all Indians, because there are some Indians. But the ones that make it to America is different. A lot of people confuse things. They don't understand that the majority of people from other countries don't make it to America. The ones that the United States, the ones that make it into the United States are the ones who separated themselves from the majority and became a group in themselves. So when you see all the Africans come over here, when you see all the Jewish people do it, when you see all the Indian people and the Asians come over here and as you say, work as a group, it's because they separated themselves from the larger group of the mentality. So they while they're still an individual, while they seem like a group here, if you compare it to the majority of Asians, the majority of Jewish people back in Israel, or the majority of Africans in different countries in Africa, they're going to be completely different than the ones in the United States. The ones that come to the United States are going to be extremely focused. They're going to be extremely money orientated and understand how the things work. And that's why when you see those people from other countries come here, they do so well, because the people who make it here are the best of the best in their country. If you send the best of the best from the United States to another country, we gonna do the same thing. Look at me, I'm about to buy a property. Shout out to Barbara World TV. Barbara World owns a property in Brazil. Shout out to Zoom to Thailand. Zoom to Thailand owns a property in Thailand. If you send the best of the best to another country, then if you only judge the whole country by the best of the best, you're gonna think the same way you think about the Asians, the Indians, the Jewish people, and the Africans. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. The issue is that in the United States is so economically powerful that when we send people to other countries, it don't even have to be the best of the best. It could be the poorest guy from a country, from a state in the middle of America that gets to the country and he's shining or she's shining because America is so powerful that we can do that. There's not other countries that can do that. You're not going to see the poorest Indian come from India to America and make it big. You're not going to see the poorest Asian, the poorest Jewish person, the poorest African. You're not going to see that. But in America, you're going to see the reverse because we are just so economically big as a place. Damn, how to go to? Let me see. What's the price in the crib? Between 65 and 85. That's what all I'm willing to spend, between 65 and 85. If I get something for less than 60, I mean, it is what it is. But I plan on spending between 65 and 85,000. Trillionaire, what's going on, man? Trillionaire Club in the building. Mr. Tender, what's up? Last minute questions, y'all. We got about 5 minutes left. 4 minutes, actually. Money is not much talked about in the black community because you can't talk about things that you don't have or you don't know about. When you listen to other communities, they openly talk about money. That's not really true, in my opinion. Everybody got a different opinion. Because black people had wealth for a long time and it wasn't talked about. We were more wealthy as black people in 1960 than we are here in 2025, than we've been since 2020, since 2010, something like that. So the issue that black people don't talk about wealth is because because a lot of people in our community aren't financially educated. It causes a rift. The same way politics causes a rift, when you talk about money, it causes a rift because the people without money don't want to listen to the people with money because they don't feel as though what you did to get money is going to be something that they can do, or what you did to get money is something that they can relate to. Like a lot of people say, I'm not living with no roommate at 18 when I can stay home for free. And then I look at them, well, when you can't afford something, when you don't know how to run your own place because you didn't have a roommate, you just went to a one family house, then don't complain to me because I did that. So again, I don't feel as though it's because we don't have money. I feel as though because our parents and our grandparents made it taboo to talk about money, because talking about money and family a lot of the times can break apart families. A lot of the times talking about money can break apart families. So to keep the black family together, there was things that we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about politics. We didn't talk about politics meaning Republican, Democrat, meaning we didn't talk about religion. Outside of when you was younger, you had to listen to whatever religion your parents were. We didn't talk about religion. There were certain things we didn't talk about because to keep the family together, a lot of times they felt as though you couldn't talk about that. But then what that does is that makes us weaker as a unit. In my imagination, that makes us weaker as a family unit when we don't talk about politics, when we don't talk about religion, when we don't talk about money in our community. So that's what I believe has happened over time. My opinion, though. What's going on, Anthony? Let me get to walking. Y'all, so we can get this day started. Hold on a second, y'all. Give me a second. All the windows cool. All right, cool. Everybody starting their day. Let's go. Let's get your last minute comments, y'all. Appreciate y'all. This has been the Jeep Talk episode 56. What's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. And I just told you guys, man, the fact that people in our community thought that money was taboo, to talk about politics is taboo, religion is taboo. Like now we could be so far behind because now when we're finally talking about it, we don't have the information because our parents and our grandparents, mostly the majority of us, said it was too taboo to talk about. Is the reason why I think you have to separate yourself. It's one of the reasons why I think you have to separate yourself from the group and become an individual minded. What's going on, Andy? I wish the black content creators talk more about money on their channel to educate and motivate others on YouTube. Again, hopefully the conversation we just had can lead you to some reasons why they don't. Will it ever change? I don't know. I think it's changed for the better over the couple decades we recently had because of the internet and because of how TG30 something, man. I think it's changed better because of the internet and because of the the things, the social media that we have. But will it ever hit on large enough scope to make a difference? Who knows? Hey, come on, Vic, you never buy your truck, man. Never. I'm still on the board though. Yeah. Somalians are doing well in Minnesota. Foreigners just work harder. They appreciate it more. I mean, there are other parts to it, Travel POV. but they work harder because again, the ones that come over here are the ones at the top of their situation. So it's a little bit different. They have a different mindset. It's a different, to me. I ain't gonna be the concerned party. Stock Fly was one of the first travel content creators. Now it's a bunch of I won't say that either. Shout out to 215 in the building. A Hussein. Where am I buying a property? Where am I buying a property? Barranquilla, Colombia. Where am I retiring? What year? I'll be retiring 9 years from now. When I'll be right before 50 or right at 50. Habitual traveler. They talking trash back in the shop this morning. Oh man, that's crazy. I don't know what that is. But I appreciate you guys for joining the live. It's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel. And this has been Jeep Talk episode 36. What's good for the individual isn't always good, or what's good for the group isn't always good for the individual. So stand alone. Peace.